Hello and welcome into Nighttime. My name is Andrew Greig alongside my co-host Joe Geiger, where the sentiment around UCF basketball is just slightly worse around campus. Joe, we'll get into it, but first thoughts on the Knights losing by a combined 54 points this past week.
Yeah, obviously never good to lose by that much, especially in one of the games where you thought should have been a win. The Houston game, they're number 8 team in the country. It is a tough game regardless, but the Cincinnati game, by far our worst loss of the season. And to come off last week when we were talking about the Texas Tech win, probably our best win of the season, now this week, worst loss of the season. It's funny how quickly things can change in college sports. But, let's get into some of these UCF games this week. Houston, Cincinnati, and our game of the week of Duke, North Carolina.
Well, we'll drop you into what should have been a ranked matchup in Houston UCF, where Milos Uzan finds Khalifa Sacco for the early slam, get the Cougars fired up early. On the opposite end, UCF trying their best to keep this a game in reach, and Riley Kugel buries the 3, Knights only down 4. One thing you can't do against Houston, though, is second chance opportunities, and Kingston Flemings makes the Knights pay, finding Chris Senack Jr. for 2. Second half now, and if you're wondering how the league got to 16, Houston would make 8 straight early, including this Sacco dunk to make an 18-point game. It's all Houston this one, as Uzan pours in just his second 3 of the game for the Cougars to make it a 28-point game. This one would finish 79-55.
UCF takes on Cincinnati for the second time this year. UCF won the first meeting 73-72. This one on the road, and Baba Miller drills just his 6th 3 of the entire season. UCF now on offense, Johnson with a nice find in the corner, and it's Jordan Burks from downtown. Late first half, Cincinnati starting to take control as Jalen Calistine hits from deep. Cincy would lead by 12 at the break. Second half, and things are getting worse for the Knights as Baba Miller grabs the offensive rebound and slams it home. He finished the game with 22 total points. UCF never led in this game, and no comeback ever happened as Baba Miller does it again on the other end with a poster slam over Devin Cambridge, and UCF suffers their worst loss of the season, 92-72 defeat.
The battle of the Blue Bloods in this one in Chapel Hill, and some nice ball movement from Duke, finding Dame Sarr in the corner for a long 2 to get the scoring started in this one. Duke looking to run away early, but the star freshman Caleb Wilson doing what he can for the Heels with a turnaround jumper, 11-point game. Boozer to Boozer connection for the second 3 in a row here as Caden knocks in the uncontested 3, Blue Devils up 12 at the half. Late in the second half now, and Derek Dixon knocks down the 3 on the Caleb Wilson assist, UNC only down 4. Caleb Foster looking to help put this one away for Duke, driving to the cup and lays it up and in with a sweet up and under move. But UNC won't go away, and Derek Dixon with another 25-footer, this time making it a 1-possession game. Visar with a big impact on this one,
Here
but
we go.
no 3s until this one, and it's tied up with less than 2 to play, and Chapel Hill is going absolutely crazy. 7 seconds left, and Derek Dixon drives and kicks it out to Seth Trimble, who does his best Paul George impersonation.
For the win!
No overtime tonight as he bangs home the 3. The Tigers come all the way back. 4/10 left now, but no shot gets off. UNC with a historic rivalry game victory, 71-68, and the fans in Chapel Hill would pull a UCF with 2 court storms.
Man, they want to be us so bad.
They
it's
do.
Crazy.
Hey,
but yeah.
Chapel Hill and UCF, one and the same.
I mean, Blue Bloods, am I right?
Yeah, I mean,
anyways,
just champions of the sport, really.
What a game that was.
That was an amazing
game of the week. Did not disappoint. Definitely the best rivalry in college basketball.
Yeah.
Every week, every season, they bring out bangers like that.
Dare I say, best big game of the weekend.
Must have been.
That's
why we put it as our big game.
Yeah. Well, UNC Duke was a good game, but we should move on to UCF Knights talk, right? There's a lot to be happy about at points in the season, and at this point, it's feeling a little bit more sour for the Knights. How do we feel about the season going forward, Joe?
Listen, we're still in good shape. They still control their own destiny. They have games the rest of the way that are very winnable. I know the Cincinnati game was very ugly. I know the Houston game was very ugly. But they're a good basketball team. They're going to find the ways to win, and they're going to win their home games, I believe, and they'll be okay. They're in good shape. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you illustrated that very well. I think the home games are the biggest point in this, right? If you can win your home games, you're guaranteed a spot in the March Madness tournament. I think that 20, like we've said a couple times on this show, is the magic number.
Exactly.
21 is definitely in 20s, flirting with a spot at this point just because of we have big wins, right? But some of the big losses are huge at this point, right?
Well, yeah, we have big losses as in point-wise.
Yeah.
But, that was our first loss not in the Quad 1. For those who don't know, Quad 1 is how they kind of rank the net rankings with their losses. That was our first loss outside of the Quad 1. So they're in good shape.
I think so as well, but the fact that we have had big wins like Texas Tech and Kansas, right? It almost feels like it's canceled out a little bit by the fact it definitely does balance out. So we'll see what goes on with that. But man, Cincinnati, that loss was extremely detrimental for anything, at least bracketology-wise. I feel like that probably drops us down from what might have been an 8 and 9 seed to like 10, 11, maybe even 12.
We want to try and avoid that first 4 in, last 4 out line, and we're sneaking down there. But that's okay. I think we'll be all right. Now, last week, this question probably was a little better. Should UCF be ranked at this point in the season?
I think that it's tough to make an argument for the rest of the season if UCF will be ranked. There'd be have to be a long stretch of wins, right? Probably a BYU win would be necessary, but definitely at this point in the season, it'd be hard to say that UCF is deserving of a ranking, right? You can't, ranked teams don't go on the road to Cincinnati and lose by 20 points, 20 plus points, or 20 points exactly, and then ranked teams at least put up a fight against other ranked teams, and it wasn't really much of a game against Houston. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, but I think we're probably at the same point.
Yeah, if you asked me after that Texas Tech game, I thought for sure we'd be in the top 20 after that win, considering we had the same record as Texas Tech, and we beat them in the head-to-head right here in Orlando. But like as you said, you can't follow that up with losses like that. 2 20-plus point losses are just brutal, and then you can't. It was just bad.
And to your point, at that point in the season, which was only a week ago, there was a lot of national criticism. At least there was a lot of people saying
a lot of people were fighting like, why are the Knights not ranked?
And Texas A&M was 7-1 in the conference at that point. They were the top of their conference.
We had beaten them. We were 12 on the road.
Yeah, we were their only home loss at that point. So we had a lot of good wins and not that many bad losses, but it's starting to even out at this point. And it's looking like we're just looking forward to the tournament. And speaking of, do we still feel confident about UCF's tournament hopes?
Yeah, you don't have to be ranked to be in the tournament. Right now, 8 or 9 seed, I think that's a realistic spot for the Knights. A couple weeks ago, we were probably a 7 seed. Now we're starting to lose that spot, but the Knights are still in good shape, as I said. They have plenty of winnable games on their schedule. One more ranked opponent left in BYU on the road, but the rest of their schedule is very winnable, and as I've mentioned, they're in good shape. Let's relax.
Yeah, for sure. The upcoming games, right? We have a week in between this past game in Cincinnati, and then almost a week, 6 days in between Cincinnati and West Virginia. So that should be a long layover, and also we get that game at home. So UCF is in good shape there, and then also they play TCU at home, and then they go on the road to Utah, which is one of the worst teams in the Big 12. They can win 2 out of those 3 games. Yep. They're at 19 wins. If they can win all 3 of them, they're at 20. That's probably the magic number. And then also, even if you get to 20 over the course of the regular season, you also have the Big 12 tournament. You like UCF's chances at least to win 1 game in that tournament.
Yeah, you can prove yourself in the Big 12 tournament. It's a great conference, as we've mentioned a lot this year. Might be the best, but the Big 12 tournament, if you win a few games in there where the Knights are at now, you're for sure in the tournament.
Well, speaking of good conferences, let's have a little debate back and forth. What do you think is the best conference in college basketball this season?
It's the Big 12. Okay. It's the Big 12 in my opinion. Most ranked teams in the country, 3 teams in the top 10 with Kansas, Iowa State, Arizona, the number 1 team in the country. BYU's very good. UCF's very good, no matter what anyone says. Oklahoma State is a very solid team. Iowa State and Kansas are both on fire right now. They've been on a tear since a couple early losses in the season. But this conference is very deep. As we've seen, anyone can really beat anybody by 20-plus points, unfortunately. And every night you're going to get a tough game. It's a great conference.
Yeah, I don't want to disagree with you here. Obviously, UCF is in the Big 12, and we're UCF Knight supporters. But
it is nighttime.
It is nighttime. But the Big 10 has put together a lot of great teams this season. It is a little bit top-heavy, but with the fact that there's 18 teams in these conferences nowadays, it's tough for it to not be top-heavy. You're not going to have 18 good teams in the conference unless you're really the SEC last year. But not only are there 5 teams in the top 25, like that graphic just illustrated, there are 5 teams in the top 12, including preseason number 1, Purdue, who is the last ranked of those teams. Between Michigan State, between Michigan, between Nebraska, Purdue, all those teams are great. And then also bringing up the rear, you have teams like USC, who's ranked at some point in the season, UCLA. So I think, in my opinion, the top 8 in the Big 10 are rivaled with any other top 8 in any conference. And while I do like the Big 12, the Big 10 is also up there for me. But moving on, which team in the top 10, newly released top 10, is most likely to be upset in the tournament, and which team is the biggest threat to win it all, in your opinion?
Yeah, I'm going with a couple Big 12 schools. I think Arizona is going to be upset the quickest. Right now, they're undefeated. Eventually, that's going to come up to bite them. Right now, in the top 10, we have Arizona, Michigan, Houston, Duke, Iowa State, UConn, Nebraska, Illinois, Kansas, and Michigan State.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go personally with a couple of Big Ten teams. For the team that I'm least confident in and the team that I think is going to be upset the quickest, Nebraska, I'm just not fully sold on them. I might be still a little bit salty about the way the crown ended last year, but I think that they're a team that could be a little bit shaky. And then also Michigan is the team that I have going the farthest. I think that they're possibly the deepest team in the whole country. They have a ton of good wins, not only one loss to Wisconsin at home, but still that, again, a good conference. So I think that for the Big Ten can make up both sides of this coin as one of the teams that could possibly win it all, and then also the team to get upset first.
For me, I have Kansas going the furthest. They've been on fire since some early losses. They lost to UCF. They lost to West Virginia. Since then, they've won 7 in a row and have some very good wins in there. Darrell Peterson is so good.
Yeah.
That team is very good right now. That's the team I'd watch out for.
Yeah, no, Kansas is definitely one of those wins for UCF that makes it look a little bit better on the schedule.
Especially because the way they've been getting better.
No, for
has
sure.
helped us out a lot.
They've evolved throughout the course of the season, which is exactly what you want to see in a college basketball team. But unfortunately, that is all the time we have for college basketball on this segment. Stay tuned because we're going to be talking about the UCF transfer portal additions next.
And we'll be right back for your show. For now, let me give you a quick rundown of what the Hitting the Field Network has planned for you. My name is Edgar Rodriguez, and I'm the host of Hitting the Field Season 22, live streaming every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern. There, you'll find me and our expert guests talking about everything in the wide world of sports. On Tuesday, get ready because it's Season 10 of Nighttime. Hosted by Andrew Greig and Joe Geiger, Nighttime keeps you up to date on everything happening in the world of college sports and UCF athletics. Moving on to Wednesday, we have Season 8 of The Combine, hosted by our very own Kathleen Moore. This podcast takes a deep and technical dive into everything NFL, and you won't want to miss that. On Thursday, we go live with Bets, where our Bets boys, Ben Huber, Augie Aronson, and Scott Harris, will give their expert opinion that might just make you some money. On Friday, Season 4 of Girls Got Game takes over with only the hottest topics in women's sports, hosted by none other than Katie Sue Christensen and Mia Flores. And to round out the week, Season 3 of HTFC comes on Saturday, hosted by Octavius Lawrence and Santiago Molina. Soccer never stops, and HTFC will be your stop for everything in the world of football. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok, where you can find non-stop additional content, as well as stay updated on all HTFN news. Lastly, leave a like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe to the Hitting the Field Network on YouTube. That's all I got. I'm Edgar Rodriguez signing off. Enjoy the rest of your show.
Welcome back into Nighttime. And once again, we're going to talk some more transfer portal additions and subtractions, but this time more specifically UCF. Last week we talked about at the national level. Today we're talking UCF. UCF has added 31 players from the transfer portal, lost 33. They currently have the 42nd ranked portal class in the country. Scott Frost said he didn't necessarily love the way college football is right now, but listen, you got to adapt in this day and age, and the transfer portal is what it is about. And we're going to welcome our guest for today's show, Francisco Vera, joining Nighttime for the first time this season.
I'm very excited to, speak some portal additions and obviously subtractions like you mentioned. First time on Nighttime, very excited.
Well, we appreciate you coming on, Francisco, and let's get straight into it, right? Alonzo Barnett was one of the best quarterbacks in all of college football last season, and I was surprised how low he was ranked by a lot of different transfer portal rankings this past season. I want to get your thoughts first, Francisco. What do you think about Alonzo Barnett, and how do you think he's going to help out this team this season?
I think Alonzo Barnett's signing is great. I think it gives UCF finally some reassurance at the quarterback position. As we've seen these past two seasons, both 2024 and 2025, the quarterback position has not been something that they're proud of. 2024, you had KJ Jefferson, who was above average at best. 2025, you had the roulette between Cam Fancher and what's this other guy's name? Savan Jackson. But now with Alonzo Barnett, he's proven that he can perform at a high level. And if he's able to bring his performance from JMU to UCF, who now he's facing better opponents, I think if he can perform well, I think this is a great signing for UCF.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a good signing for the Knights. Obviously, we had the quarterback carousel last year. We played 4 quarterbacks, 3 different starters, and it was it was honestly the biggest problem for that UCF offense was the consistency. Having a consistent quarterback is super important, and hopefully Barnett can be that guy.
Yeah, so I was able to hop in on some of the Coach Frost's interviews last season, and it was a big point of emphasis, the fact that there was no real security. Or like when the questions were being asked, it was like it was almost a week-to-week thing, and you can't really have that in the state of college football, right? The quarterback is the most important position in all of football, and Alonzo Barnett should find some reassurance there. Obviously, last season we had the stats up. He had 2,800 yards, and he's a dual threat quarterback, so he can also use his legs. He had over 500. He had 589 rushing yards, which also includes sacks, so even more than that.
Yeah.
And then 15 rushing touchdowns as well. I think he provides a diverse attack on the offense.
And I know a lot of people only probably watched him play against the Oregon Ducks, but he played very well in that playoff game. The offense was not the problem for James Madison in that game. He led that offense very good in the first half. It was that defense that was outmatched. So I'm excited to see how he does in the Big 12.
Yeah, and for whatever you think about the Sun Belt, he was the player of the year.
Yeah.
So if nothing else, that is in the FBS, and they did have a school in the college football playoff this past season. So Lons Barnett, I think across the table, and also with Francisco as well, I think it's a good signing for UCF this season. But moving on to possibly his wide receiver one, Josh Derry, who played for Monmouth last season. Francisco, I'm inclined to get your thoughts again. How do you think Josh Derry will impact this team?
I think this is a great signing, more so in terms of depth. I think this gives Alonzo Barnett an additional weapon, to say the least. We do have to see, however, whether or not he will transfer his talent from the FCS to the FBS level, as I don't think it is proven, at least, by him so far. But if he can perform the way he's performed in the FCS level, I think this is a great signing for UCF as well.
This kid had a year last year. He had 4 straight 100-plus yard games last year. He was the Conference Player of the Year, offensive-wise. We need receivers. Last year we didn't really have a true wide receiver one. We have some guys coming back. Dwayne Thomas Jr. we'll have back at wide receiver. We'll also have Dylan Wade returning at the tight end spot. So hopefully it gives Barnett multiple options to throw the ball to. Obviously, you don't know who he's going to end up throwing the ball to more until we play the games, but I think depth-wise, I think it'll be a little bit better.
Yeah, for sure. I think that you guys hit right on the nail, right on the head. Last season, there was a big issue with wide receivers as well, which is, quarterback and then wide receiver. It's tough to get an offense going when you don't have consistent play at either of those positions, but I'm hoping that Josh Derry can provide some consistency as maybe the wide receiver one for this team, right? We mentioned the fact that he had 1,100 yards last season, but the season before, he also had 900 yards for a combined 2,000 over the past 2 seasons. He had 13 touchdowns last season and 76 receptions. And just as you guys mentioned, UCF had no true number one receiver last year, and they'll hopefully look to Derry this season. His first 4 games last season, as you mentioned, were 100-yard games, and he's had 9 over the course of his career. Obviously, that is in the FBS, but in one of his games, he had 10 catches for 177 yards and 4 touchdowns versus Fordham. And the year before, he had 7 catches for 227 yards and a 2-touchdown game. So at the FCS level, he is proven, and hopefully he can translate that.
And should be a big, deep threat for UCF, which is a thing we didn't have. We didn't have a lot of chunk plays last year. Only thing was with the running backs is where we had. We didn't really have much deep passes last year. Hopefully this guy can do that. One more addition we're going to go to is a running back, Landon Chambers from Central Arkansas. Another solid small school pickup, but Francisco, what do you think?
I've said this for the previous ones, but I'm going to say it again. I love this pickup. It seems that UCF football has been able to pick up stud running backs for the past couple seasons. You know, last season you had Jaden Nixon and Miles Montgomery, and then the season before you had probably the greatest UCF running back of all time, R.J. Harvey. So I think that this pickup is really good for them. This provides another great weapon for the UC fast offense for Scott Frost. So I love this signing overall. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that this signing is definitely a good signing for UCF. Like you mentioned, Jaden Nixon and Miles Montgomery were a 1-2 punch in that backfield last year, but both of those guys are going to be gone this season. And this guy was recruited out of high school as an FBS player and then essentially decided to go to an FCS school. He had offers from places like BYU, Navy, Air Force. So he could have been an FBS player, but he chose the FCS route, and now he's getting his chance in the FBS level. I think that obviously the stats bear it out. He averaged over 100 yards a game last season. So this could be a dynamic weapon for the UCF Knights, and we're obviously hoping he will be.
Yeah, Scott Frost loves his running backs. As he said, the UCF Fast, he loves his running backs. He's an 1,000-yard-plus runner. We picked up Duke Watson from Louisville, so we should have a good, solid backfield once again. As we mentioned, Nixon and Montgomery last year. Those were our biggest playmakers on offense, so hopefully the running game is just as good as it was this year. But we should also talk about some guys that we lost in the portal as well, because with addition, you also have subtraction. We have wide receiver DJ Black, who goes to South Carolina. Defensive tackle Jamal Johnson, who went to Purdue. Linebacker TJ Bullard, who went to Florida. And we also lost all 4 quarterbacks that we played last year: Taven Jackson, Cam Fancher, Davey Belfour, and who's that last one?
The other one.
The other guy. Who even knows?
Ja'Cory Brown?
Ja'Cory Brown, that's it.
Perfect. Well, that being said, we want to pitch to you one last time, Francisco. Who do you think was the biggest loss in the transfer portal this season?
I think that the biggest loss would be DJ Black. This this takes away a massive performer in offense who already knows the UCF offensive system. So I think that this leaves on to the new guys to kind of figure out the system, and it makes them have to step up as well.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you coming on this segment of Nighttime, and unfortunately, that is all the time we have. I mean, I completely agree with the fact that losing another receiver is a big loss for UCF. But speaking of another big sport for UCF, baseball season is just days away, and we at Nighttime are super excited to talk about it. We'll be talking UCF baseball right after this.
Never got me anything for my birthday.
I don't even know what that is. I thought birthdays were every 100 years like the Kids' Choice Awards.
What?
Finally, he's here, man. He's always late.
Who?
Marcus?
You good? I'd give them one of these, and one of these.
Behind every on-screen moment is a whole team of engineers and technologists.
And you can be a part of such a team through SMPTE at UCF. You'll join a team of students just like you who are ready to innovate the future of TV and film.
With SMPTE at UCF, you'll be able to connect with local industry pros, learn about new technology in the industry, as well as get backstage experience that really matters. Join SMPTE for a backstage pass to all of this.
We meet every last Monday of the month for our general body meetings. There we discuss how new technology is being used to create new media, and we get to highlight local professionals and their specialties.
On top of that, we have some site visits planned, so tune into our social media to be notified of when those will happen.
So if you're ready to pull back the curtain and find out what really happens behind the scenes, join SMPTE at UCF.
And welcome back. Like I mentioned in the close of last segment, we get to talk UCF baseball, which starts this Friday with a 3-game series set versus Siena. And then after that, the competition quickly ramps up against number 22 Miami on Tuesday as a midweek game. But looking forward to the season. Joe, any first thoughts on this season? Are you looking forward to baseball is what I should ask.
Of course. Baseball is awesome. Major League Baseball is great, but college baseball is just as good as well.
Yeah, well, to talk college baseball with us today, we have our special guests, Mason Best and Anya Garibashvily. How are you guys, and how excited are you guys for the start of the college baseball season this week?
I'm doing great. I'm so happy to be here, guys. I'm so thankful for you guys could have me on here. I'm excited to talk some college baseball.
Yeah, so am I. I'm really excited to talk, baseball, especially about UCF. It's not one of the sports that I talk about a lot, but I did get to see kind of the end of last year's season. I'm excited to see what the Knights bring this season.
Yeah, well, the end of last year's season was rather disappointing for a Knights team.
9-21.
9-21
conference play, but that's kind of been the theme for a lot of UCF sports.
Yeah.
Kind of start strong, and then you get into conference play and they struggle, finish 29-26. 13th in the conference. Obviously, it's a new look team, just like every other sport, so hey, it's a new year.
Yeah, we'll see. And really that team wasn't as bad as a 29-26 record would say, or a 9-21 in Big 12 conference play would say. Unfortunately, they ended up missing the Big 12 tournament completely as the first team out, which was extremely unfortunate, and it just took a turn for the worse after what was the BYU series, right? The Knights won the first series of the season in BYU. They went up to Provo. Then after that, it just kind of spiraled for them. But it is a new season, and we want to maybe take a look at some of the opponents this season, right? Because the Big 12 is littered with teams that are either super regional bound from last year or just in general extremely competitive. So I wanted to get you guys' thoughts, right? We'll start with you, Joe. What is the series or the game that you're most excited for this season?
I'm looking at a couple. I'm looking at the USF series and the Arizona series. Obviously, starting USF, it's the war on I-4. We don't get it in any other sport, and we at least get it in baseball. It's February 27th through March 1st, And it's always good to see rivalry games, especially one you don't see anymore. And then I'm going to go to the Arizona game on March 27th through March 29th. Arizona was the Big 12 tournament winner last year, finished with a top 10 ranking, and they made it all the way to Omaha for the College World Series. So it's always fun to play these good teams in your conference, chances to pull off upset, and it's a pretty early series in the conference play. So we'll know what this night's team is all about pretty early on.
For sure. I mean, I completely agree. I want to get our guest thoughts as well. Mason, let's start with you. What series or game are you excited for this season?
I think, like Joe, I'm really excited for that USF series. That's always really fun when you get to have a little war on I-4. But beyond that, the LSU series is always fun. Right now, LSU is ranked number 2 in the nation, and I could see them finishing as number 1. They're only ranked behind UCLA right now, and I think a lot of UCLA hype comes from their number 1 ranked player in the country in Roach Kalowski. Now I think LSU can compete with that in the fact that they have Derek Couriel, who's also a top 10 prospect in the country, and their pitching staff looks even better than last year. So I think that series I'm really excited for.
Anya?
As far as the games that I'm really excited for are UMiami. We're playing them twice this season. I know last season in 2025 we beat them 14-4 in March, and we'll be playing them in March again. But first we're going to be playing them February 17th. I'm really looking forward to see how UCF goes against Daniel Covett. He's for UMiami. He's got from last year 84 runs batted in, a .372 batting average, and he's also a Golden Spikes contender for this season, which for those who don't know, that is a way to honor the nation's top amateur baseball player. He's had a lot of eyes on him, but considering that we beat them last year, I think we have a pretty solid chance, especially considering that pitching for UMiami is not too strong right now. That's something they need to settle in really quick before they really get far into the season. And then as far as how UCF's going to do, I mean, we are also a little bit shaken up, but we have a lot of new people coming in, so that's going to be really exciting. It's high risk, high reward, but you know, with 3 good pitchers that we have from last year, I think we have a solid chance of beating UMiami. The other one really quick is Kansas. We lost against them last year. However, it is said that Fitzgerald, the coach for Kansas, doesn't feel too great right now. He said if he had to open up Big 12 this weekend, he would not feel great about it. So it's something to keep in mind. It doesn't seem like hope or motivation really is that strong right now across any of the teams, but seeing Kansas say that was a bit startling. They are currently picked for 5th, tied with Oklahoma State in Big 12 standings, excuse me, not rankings. UCF is sitting currently at 10th picked. So I think it'll be interesting to see how those 2 games go.
Yeah, I'm in full agreement with you there at the end, Anya, about the UMiami game. I should say Daniel Cuvée is one of the best college baseball players in all of college baseball, and Andrew Williamson is a Golden Spikes Award watch list as well. He plays for the UCF Knights, our best outfielder last year and possibly our best player. So just an exciting matchup from third base all the way out to outfield. But I have a stretch of games that I'm really excited for this season, right? We start out the end of conference play with Murray State, who made it all the way to the College World Series last year. They had some intense games against Ole Miss. They won that game 12-11 to advance to the Super Regionals, which was an extremely fun game. Murray State, the first time that they'd ever made it to Omaha in their school's history. And then also we have Miami sandwiched in between those, in between 2 exciting series there. Miami, that would be the March game, and it would be the home game for UCF. Last year it was extremely packed out, and as Anya mentioned, the Knights won 14-4. So if they were able to take that momentum from last year into this season, that would be awesome. Miami's a historically great college baseball program, so being able to get a win at home would be awesome. And then in between, or at the latter part of that, is Oklahoma State, the first series of the Big 12 for the UCF Knights. They're historically just a really good baseball team, and it's an exciting series. Last season, obviously, we mentioned the fact that they only went 9-21 in conference play, so if they're able to get a win, a series win in conference for the first series of the season, that'd be awesome. But moving on, we have a question that you guys might find a little bit interesting, but will UCF be the best college baseball team in the state of Florida this season? We'll start off with Mason, actually.
Unfortunately, I think no. I think it's going to be Florida State. I think Florida State is coming off a little bit of a down year last year. They had a really good transfer portal this year, being highlighted by Trey Beard from FAU, who's a phenomenal southpaw, pitching to a 3.14 ERA with 118 strikeouts in 86 innings last year. His K numbers are just through the roof, and though they lost Jamie Arnold to the draft last year, I think FSU is going to be very, very dangerous because along with that, they retained the majority of their key offensive players in Miles Bailey and Cal Fisher, who are elite power hitters and will lock down their infield.
Anya, what do you think?
Okay, I want to play devil's advocate. Even though I hear you, Mason, about FSU being the best. I do think that UCF also has a pretty strong argument. We do have new players coming in, about 30 of them, a good mix between transfers and first years. In addition, we're going to still have our really strong pitchers from last season with Christopher Sosnowski, Mateo Gray, and Matt Stalster. I hope I'm saying those names right. But really, I just think that bringing in new talent alongside talent that we've already seen being able to perform and just making sure that we keep up with the momentum we always start out our seasons with and not, tumbling and fumbling the rest of the season. I think UCF could have a pretty decent chance as to being the best in Florida.
Yeah, it would definitely be cool to see. I mean, we got Miami on the schedule. We got USF. I think most of us highlighted those games as ones to watch. But with Florida State, Miami, Florida, they're already in the top 25 preseason. Those are powerhouse programs within college baseball. It's going to be tough for the Knights, I think, to be as good as them this year. But back to basketball, our quick games of the week. We got 2 Big 12 battles. Number 5, Iowa State. Number 9, Kansas. Number 13, Texas Tech. At number 1, Arizona. Both those games on Saturday. Very quickly, just give me your picks for both those games. Mason, we'll start with you.
I think Iowa State takes down Kansas. To be honest, I think Iowa State is your March Madness champion. I think they are the most dangerous team in college basketball right now. And I think Texas Tech might hand Arizona their first loss this season. I think Arizona's really focused on staying undefeated, and I think they're on fraud watch.
Interesting. Anya?
I gotta agree. I think it's going to be Iowa State and Texas Tech as well.
Yeah, for me, I'm going Texas and Arizona, so the complete opposite of you guys, unfortunately. I think Kansas is on a heater right now. Peterson is one of the best player in college basketball, in my opinion. Arizona, I just don't think that they're getting their first loss yet. Joe?
Yep, I got Kansas, and I got number 1 Arizona. Should be a great week of college basketball. College baseball coming up, and we'll see you next time on Nighttime.